Welcome back, guys. A local Bulls fan here.
Man,
This
what
is
a
my second take
drag.
doing this. I wanted to get like a rundown of what I wanted to say exactly. I just felt like I had to throw that out there. Right now, Bulls are just beat the Nuggets. Right now, today is Tuesday, March 14th. I couldn't read for a second. Anyway, the Bulls currently are at the 10th seed. I think the Wizards just won. So right now the Bulls are gonna have to play the Sacramento Kings to really sit there. But I'm not going to talk about where they're at. I'm not going to get caught up too much in that just yet. The season's been disappointing, but I'm kind of focused more on the off season. Curious to see what they do, but I'm not getting my hopes invested. I got trust issues with these guys. So I'm going to talk about today's, obviously, Zach LaVine. So why I want to keep Zach LaVine, why I don't think we should trade him. First and foremost, I think about that Nets package that kept going around for Zach LaVine, for RJ Barrett, D Rose, Fournier, 3 picks. Just a reminder, if they do that in the offseason, it is not that possible or feasible. RJ Barrett gets paid in the summer. So the money's going to look a little different. So you can't get that exact package back. But, anyways, when I quickly started hearing about, let's trade Zach LaVine, he's not a max player. He's not this, blah, blah, blah. First and foremost, Tobias Harris gets the same amount of money as him. It's not about, when you get paid, it's not about what you are worth around the league as much as it's worth around what you are worth to your team. I just need that clarification out there. I need to make sure everyone understands that. Because ultimately, yes, he is our max player, whether you like it or not. And it just reminded me of Jimmy. When Jimmy was here, everyone was saying the same things about Jimmy that they're saying about Zach. He cannot be the first option on a winning team. He is the second option. Mind you, Jimmy has proven that that wasn't real. He's been to an NBA Finals before. Didn't win. You don't really get credit for losing. But the fact is, he was the best player going against LeBron James and the Lakers in the bubble. So, overall, I'm not saying that Zach is on Jimmy's level, but I'm saying, like, if we were to do, let's say, that New York trade, we're ultimately just going another version of that trade where we traded Jimmy to Minnesota for Zach and Larry and Chris Dunn. It's just a different iteration of that, except RJ Barrett, in my personal opinion, is not going to be anywhere nearly as good as those guys. I'm not saying Zach and Jimmy are on the same level. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't have faith in RJ Barrett. He hasn't shown me enough. He's been kind of a disappointment. He was the third overall pick compared to Zach being like 13 and Jimmy being 30th. So overall, I don't see the point in just like, in that case, you might as well just rebuild. And I don't want to go into another rebuild, especially with RJ Barrett as being the guy, because ownership's gonna want him to be the man on the team. It's not appealing to me. That's depressing. Overall, I just see, build with what you have. It's not that complicated. Zach LaVine is the most modern NBA player on this team as it is, and it just gets overly complicated a lot. This is not just being biased on on his most recent play, because he's been playing pretty good since December, I think. It's not even about that. He could, let's say, shoots three ball, slashes. He's alright at the mid range. Think he's overall elevated his defensive abilities. Not anything crazy, but he's not shying away from a matchup with Paul George or Jaylen Brown, anything like that. He's gonna, do what he can on defense. The effort's there, the effort's shown. And I think with this, we gotta understand something with Zach. He's not a top 10 player, probably might not ever will be. And in order for us fans and I think everyone else to let him be him and elevate his game, you just gotta accept that. I know it's kind of like an oxymoron for him to elevate while accepting that he's not gonna be some crazy top 10, top 5 player, but I think you come to the realization that he probably needs more. A team with Zach being one of your best players, you're gonna need more bench depth. It's gonna need uh, a guy just as good or if not better than him, point guard, things of that nature, defense, so on and so forth. And that should be all right in my personal opinion, as well as a head coach that can not only make us good on defense, but can run an offensive scheme that's not from the '90s, regardless of who the hell's on the court. But anyway, you just really gotta accept him for who he is as a player, rather than trying to be like, oh my gosh, he needs to do this. We're not getting another Michael Jordan with any of those 3 picks. If we give the Knicks Zach LaVine, with the way they're playing, those picks are probably going to be in not in the lottery, that's for sure, and definitely might maybe be in the 20s. That's a gamble with the picks. Mind you, yes, our picks are going to be like a little higher or whatnot, but I'm not willing to sit back and watch the 8th get the 9th pick. Because even then, there's still good players there, but not drafting them right. But this isn't about that. This is about keeping Zach LaVine. It's to avoid making those mistakes, seeing that crap all over again. Like, I ranted in the last video about Bulls not drafting Tyrese Halliburton, and it's a clear fit. It clearly shows that they messed up, and I don't want to focus on that. I want the Bulls to focus on winning now with a retool with Zach LaVine. Accepting him as the player as he is. And not trying to be like, oh yeah, he could be this playmaker, he could be this. I think he could elevate his game with more talent, but I'll get into that part later. So it's just like, how would you build around him? And I think overall they were in the right direction, bringing in Caruso, Lonzo. I think they messed up with getting too many cooks in the kitchen with scorers overall, regardless of what position they are, regardless of what, how they score. With DeMar and Vooch, those 2 guys are scorers, and it's just that's the best thing they do. Rather than defense, not setting other guys up, the best thing they do is score the damn basketball. So I think they put too much into that for salary wise, top heavy team, and now you're left with obviously a big hole in that point guard position. Your defensive focal point was Lonzo, and he's the perfect fit right next to Zach. But with him rehabbing, it's like, all right, if you decide to wait for him and not move on from him, obviously the right way, not just kicking him to the curb, you're kind of gambling on Zach's right now peak, his prime. You're gambling that for Lonzo Ball to maybe come back and be the player he was. That's kind of unfair on Lonzo's end too. You can't really expect the guy to come in right away, make this huge impact, and be the savior of your team. That's a lot of pressure on a guy trying to come off an injury and just be able to play the sport he loves again. So it just leaves some glaring question marks, and it's really just a crappy situation. And overall, they have to address that. They have to have someone else set up guys for other people in order for Zach to focus on setting up his own shot, setting up himself, and focus on scoring. Another thing is, like, with the right guys, let's say you get another, scorer that's on Zach's timeline and the playmaker, truly have that team built around him, kind of like what Sacramento did for De'Aaron Fox and what the Knicks did for Julius Randle. Those guys aren't like championship, caliber players by any means, but those guys are really there. Those guys are winning, they put together a best position for them possible to win, to elevate. And I think with putting Zach in that position will allow him to all right, he's not struggling to get his 30 points, get 25 points, carrying the offensive load. Make it be the most feasible, easiest points he could get through the catch and shoot, him cutting, running, fast break, things like that. Because another player that said that really helped him a lot was Kevin Durant. There's not me saying Zach LaVine's Kevin Durant on the same level, no, but when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, He said that since the offensive load was very much easier for him to like do, his game was easier to just play. He was able to, elevate his defensive presence, and you see that now. Last time he was up against the Bulls, that man was guarding Vooch. He had his ass in the paint. Like, it was pretty interesting to watch. Like, he was able to elevate his game, and I think that goes without saying for every star. When they're able to, that scoring load, him not having to be the playmaker, him not having to facilitate, him not having to, like, go be the only 3-point shooter. It would just really, it helps him. It just makes the game easier for him and be able to elevate his game. All right, I could try this out instead of this game without having to worry about, oh, if I do this, I'm exhausted and I just cost us the lead. Overall, that's how I feel about Zach. Like, for any player in the NBA, that's really my philosophy. So it just leads to ask, what's wrong with the stars he has now with DeMar and Vooch? Because overall, both of the guys, sorry about that, both of the guys just haven't shown me that they could, like, be that co-star. Yeah, DeMar did his thing last season. DeMar is a midi magician. I personally favor DeMar a lot more. Vooch is just not the center that appeals to me in my personal basketball philosophies. That's my little bias. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like DeMar has shown me much value this season. Same with Vooch, because our guys were healthy. They're supposed to be our 3 best players, and we aren't winning. And their excuse is a point guard or their co-stars. That's BS to me. That just shows me that they're not as valuable as freaking Lonzo. If that's the case, if they need Lonzo Ball so damn bad, or if they need freaking Io, Kobe, all of them to go out there and freaking Patrick to have these crazy nights, that just shows me they're not the winners we think they are. That's just my opinion. That's just my take. And with DeMar and Vooch, Zach, Vooch, DeMar, Zach, watching the games, it's like, all right, they all take their turns of like having chemistry with each other. Yes, they're gelling now because of Pat Bev, but I'm like, do you really, your, ecosystem of offense that dependent on like a guy like Pat Bev coming to save it? No disrespect to Pat Bev by any means, but it's a real question, because these guys should have been clicking from the day one. They're not doing things that like are so freaking reliant. They're not doing anything like super. You see the impact through what Pat Bev is doing, because they're doing it together. It's not like he's not involved that much on ball wise. Obviously, there's other things that aren't going to be shown. This isn't me disrespecting Pat Bev. Let me stop. But yeah, it's just, if that's the case, what is there? What can you get? So then, obviously, everyone's like, re-sign Vooch. That's a smart thing to do. Mind you, yes, do not let him walk for nothing. But if Vooch wants to go anywhere that's actually fucking good, anywhere that actually plays winning basketball, anywhere you can be competitive, it's going to be through a sign-in trade. The teams with the cap spaces: Houston, Utah, Pacers. Let me do a jump skip because you already probably know the rest. Grizzlies, Sacramento, Nets, Raptors, Hawks. And then after that, it's just like the Bulls type territory. Or not even like that. Most of these teams already have their center pointed out. Most of these teams are not in the direction of going to get a Vooch. So it's going to probably be through a signing trade. If he really wants to leave and go play meaningful basketball, anything better than this, it's going to probably be through that. Obviously, don't let him walk for nothing. If he wants to just go get money, get paid, and play for the Rockets, sure. I mean, why? If the Rockets do want him, why not? But yeah, it will probably be through a sign-in trade if he wants to win that bad and actually be competitive. And for DeMar, he's still on for another deal to move. I'm okay with moving on from either or, as long as Zach LaVine stays and we get a player that's around his timeline versus the dinosaurs. Me personally, I would want to see a Karl Anthony Towns, a Pascal Siakam, guys like that on this Bulls team, it's just a pipe dream. I really don't know. But overall, you're gonna need to have, address that point guard position long term wise. Because it's not fair to just kick Lonzo to the curb, but it's not fair to have that pressure on him. And it's not fair for like Zach to like in that prime time, considering we earlier I said I don't think he's that guy, top 10 type player, and he's gonna need all the help he can get. So it just comes down to that really, like being able to put together that talent to elevate him, being able to use the young guys, Billy Donovan, to actually like have them have roles and really just elevate their game, have more responsibility, not just do what Jim Boylan did with Justin Holiday and have him play 35 minutes plus, taking all the shots while freaking all your young guys are just there watching him, versus how he kind of is now with Caruso, but that's not here or there, and that's not as bad or drastic. That's just kind of Bulls history comparison I could go to. But yeah, overall, I just really would like to see us pick the direction, not let go of Zach for pennies on the dollar and see him go elevate another team and be like, why can't he do that here? He could. It's just, they made the right moves. But yeah, I really think Lonzo was in the right direction. I think they just did way too much dip on the chip in terms of scoring wise. But let's really see how it goes. Overall, I hope we make the plan. I hope we win. I hope we get the second overall pick. Give us Scoot Henderson, top 4. We'll see what we do with that. I'm okay. Either or. Changes have to be made. Keep Demar, that's fine. We don't let him go for, anything. Another guy sounds cool as Kyle Kuzma, just throwing it out there. Overall, go Bulls. I'll see you when I see you.